Happy Thursday, Weirdlings. This is Hadley Thorne, and I'm here for Weird Realities with Rich Ristucci and Mr. Henry Tully. We are a little bit wild and crazy tonight. Scott Baker and Alan Gamboa have fled the scene. They're doing their own things with their family, and we're just going to be here for a little bit just to talk and talk about some current events. How about that?
Sure.
Definitely a
Guns,
not.
ammo, and Ukraine.
Yeah, there's a lot happening. Honestly, I can't believe the fight that the Ukrainians have put up against what I thought was an incredibly superior Russian force. And these people are going out there with sticks and stones and fighting tanks and winning. They're shooting helicopters down and destroying MLRS systems. It's pretty amazing. I saw a guy pulling a tank down the street with his tractor. He's trying to steal it.
They're some tough people, aren't they?
Yeah, man. He Highlander. This one guy. He's like, yeah, screw these Russians, man. And he hooked his tractor up to it was either an LAV or a tank or something, and it had run out of fuel. And he's like, this is now mine, and he took it away. So now he's got a tank parked in his barn.
This is way off topic, but somebody was showing like a vintage backhoe on YouTube, and then pans over, so you see the claw like hanging into the ground, and then it pans over, and the backhoe is in a pond, like that. The actual body of it. And that reminded me. I saw a video from Ukraine where they had tried to move a tank over like a homemade bridge, and it flipped over into a river, and all you can see is like a thing sticking up out of the water.
I saw a Ukrainian gentleman, carrying like one of those claymore mines like across the street. He had just picked it up and was just carrying it off. He had no shirt on and like this just like kind of rugged jacket and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth. And I thought, Viva Ukraine!
Oh man,
They're some tough people.
You might be able to think of some practical applications of claymore in your everyday life,
oh sure,
like
painting.
moss in the garage or something.
Yeah. Oh man, it's figuring out a Jackson Pollock painting with some bad paints. Yeah, I think they have innumerable intestinal fortitude. They're amazing in what they're doing. I don't know how it's going to go, but I think Putin has had a big surprise, and hopefully he'll pull out of there. But I don't see that happening. And if the West steps in, and then China steps in, and then oh shit, that's gonna be
probably
bad.
Like without getting political, I think probably the craziest thing out of this whole deal, at least in the last day, has been like all the noise about Bitcoin. Like how they put all the sanctions and everything.
Yeah.
Like this is going to be the first real test of how secure Bitcoin is as a cryptocurrency. Because if they can sanction that kind of is the whole point of how Bitcoin originated, right? Was to be.
Yeah. I guess we're gonna have to see.
I've got a question.
Shoot.
Did either of y'all listen to Logan Craft's Texas Chainsaw Massacre review?
So I started to, and I got pulled away. But I would very much. In fact, I might do that after this, because I would imagine that review was 100 times better than the movie.
It was worth it. All what 1 hour and 6 minutes of his rant was worth it. Every minute. Every minute was worth it.
Well, that's about 20 minutes less time than the movie was. I think the movie was 84 minutes or something like that.
That reminds me, there was a new movie on Netflix that I watched last weekend. Do not waste your time with it if you haven't already. It's called The Privilege.
The- I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard people say it was really good, and I've also heard people say what you just said, that it was terrible.
What was it
Yeah,
about?
so it was I believe it's a German dub, and honestly, it was so unmemorable that I didn't even pay attention to the plot. I eventually, like after probably the first 25 minutes, just kind of kicked back and grabbed my laptop and was doing other things while it was playing in the background. But it was, I think it was maybe demons, maybe demon. We'll say maybe demons.
That's my favorite,
Hey, Tony.
Tony. The most valuable players here.
I just saw a commercial for something on Netflix, and it was with Will Patton. And it's something about a mine, and these kids are going out to I don't know, figure out what happened many years ago, and there's some kind of, like Tully said, it's either a demon or some creature that they've locked in this side of this mine, and it killed Will Patton's kid. I don't know, maybe a
Okay,
decade or 20 years
there's
ago.
something crazy going on because I listened
Oh,
to this.
I know what you're
Because
talking about, Rich. I just realized what you're talking about. I saw the same thing. I'm sorry.
yeah, I can't remember the name of the movie. But what were you saying, Hadley?
I listened to the latest episode of Sasquatch Chronicles that comes out on Sunday nights, and the guy that was on it is probably around my age, maybe a little bit younger, but or excuse me, a little bit older. But he was talking about him and some friends in California. They used to go like hiking down into these mines, and that they were in one, and this creature came walking past them, just looked at them.
There's some
Yeah,
scary
He
videos
said
out
he
there
goes he said
like that.
they did not talk about it for a long time. That the whole little group that they used to go, like it was a group of guys that they would go hiking and just going around between like some spot and like Mount Shasta's where they were pretty much camping and all. But it was a really good episode. But I mean, he said that I mean it like walked by and like looked at them, like it had been watching them for a while. Like it knew they weren't a threat.
I don't know how
yeah,
much y'all are on YouTube, but there's a channel called Nukes that's really huge. It's a like a whole paranormal cryptid channel on YouTube, and there's some terrifying things in those, especially in the old west mines and stuff, where a lot of people, you know,
yeah. I'm not going in any mines.
I'm with
I'm
Rich.
just I'm,
No,
I'm just gonna hang back, like here in the basement and talk to you guys while other people go into the mines and get terrified and eaten by demons and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna hang out here with my beer and my friends and not do that ever.
and my guns.
Yeah. Oh, I get. Yeah, they're there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not. To me, that's just looking for something. When you look for
Yeah.
something, you're gonna find it.
I had one experience many years ago, and at some I'm not. I don't want to talk about it now, but at some point I will lay down that for you guys. It was funky, but insofar as going into mines, I mean, you take all the cryptid Bigfoot freaking Loch Ness mine monster out of it, and you've got a dangerous place, you know.
Yeah,
oh,
I'm
And
more afraid of what I can't see than any of that stuff.
yeah, gas. I mean, you
yeah,
can't
that's
Yeah.
what
see
I was
the
gonna say.
methane, so it's pretty bad. And it's just not for me.
Mm-mm.
I have
I watched
less guts than I did before when
I
I was a
watched one
kid.
of those movies like was it Descent where they get it was like based on a true story about these guys that went cave diving and they got filled up with water. And that just terrifies me. That's like a number of things all at once that could
Yeah.
just freak me out.
Well, there was a few years ago those kids in Thailand. Was it Thailand? And then
Yeah.
they were like a soccer team, and they went into this cave, and they were about a mile in, and it flooded behind them.
Yep.
And at least one of the guys that tried to save them died. He drowned
Mhm.
in there trying to get to them.
People who
It's
do
awful.
that, I mean, I just don't. You'll see these stories about these guys that go scuba diving in these deep, dark uncharted holes in
I
the
did that
ocean.
for several years. I was a cave
What?
diver for several
What?
years. 12
What?
years. Yeah. I don't
Come
No.
on,
it
not having
wasn't
nuts.
yeah, well, but that was, before I met my wife. It was oh wow, we would have had our 20th anniversary in February 2nd. I mean February, yeah, 2nd. So that was, I don't know, the late 90s.
So what's the creepiest thing you ever saw?
Creepy.
Y'all quit that.
Fish. I mean, I never
Big
really saw
fish?
anything. No, not really. I mean, I saw a bull ray. It was an enormous stingray. It was 6, 8 feet across. I saw a potato cod when I was in Australia. It was like the size of a Volkswagen. They were enormous, and
Dude.
and they don't. I guess they don't hurt people, but it's a big fish. I saw
No.
jinbei, which is a whale shark. We actually had to get out of the water because there was a tiger shark, but I never saw it. But that wasn't really the cave diving stuff. The cave diving, the most terrifying thing about cave diving is actually the ground. It's silt. If you drop something, or like you put your light on the ground, then the silt just raises up in the air, and when you flash your light, all it does is flash back, and you can have somebody 3 feet away. You can't see them, but we were always on lines. So when we went cave diving, we put lines down, or somebody else had done it before we went in there. Um, but there's some cool stuff to see. It's pretty cool. It's just that um, I was a lot thinner then as well, and I could get into the squidgy places. But that is what I didn't like. I didn't like when it got tight, and
Mm.
so a lot of times I was just like, yeah, no, I'm out, and I turned around.
That's all the
And
things I don't like.
yeah, so
Deep water, small,
it
small
wasn't
confined
it
spots.
wasn't necessarily deep water. Some of it was, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 feet down. But it really doesn't matter when you get stuck someplace, and there's water all around you and you can't see where you are. You start running out of air, because that was we were in one of those, I don't know, it was maybe a quarter of a mile into a cave, and something happened. I don't know what happened. A fish, somebody dropped their lighter or whatever, and the silt popped up. And so I'm cued to a line. I'm stuck to the line, but still you can't see anything. And it's just like, it's really bright when you flash your light around. It's all around you, and it just flashes back at you. You can't see anything. So you'd think you're in a deep dark cave, but it's super bright because you're flashing all over the place. And then you start looking, at your gauges, and you see your air start to go down. I'm like, I'm out, and you just go back the other way. Um, I don't know anybody that died, but I would imagine there were a lot of people. There was a guy that I knew that actually passed away on a dive. It's the Andrea Doria. It was a ship that sunk off the coast of Massachusetts many, many years ago. It hit Stockholm, which was a Swedish warship, hit it, and it sunk. And that's deep, and there's lots of current there. So I did that dive. I wasn't there when the guy died, but I guess a lot of people have passed away on that dive too. That's a pretty tough dive. It's pretty far down, but I was a heliox diver at the time, so it wasn't. I was never really worried about running out of air. It was the currents, and there's nets all over it. It's a funky
What's a
dive.
heliox diver?
It's a Okay, so it's a special mix. It's not just air. They mix helium with the air, a little nitrogen. You can get nitrox as well. Um, but it's a special type of air that you breathe. It's not necessarily really air. And what it does is it allows the nitrogen in your blood to get out and get in quicker, or at a better pace, not necessarily quicker, but at a better pace than when you decompress. When you're diving down and you have to do stops, or you don't have to stop on the way down, you stop on the way up.
That lets
But
you go
it helps.
faster, like
Yeah, exactly.
ascend and
And you
descend.
can stay down longer as well, which is nice too.
That's
Let somebody
pretty
else
cool.
talk.
I didn't know that
Yeah,
about you.
I didn't either. That's like you're like a rock star now.
It
So,
was
so
it was
cool.
fun. I mean, I did some underwater welding for a while up here, but it's
You're
when I
slowly
say
turning
up,
into the Dos Equis man.
yeah, yeah, right, yeah. The underwater welding stuff, that was also, damn. I'm just not fun anymore. That was a long time ago as well. It was good money. It was
Yeah, it's
really
good
good
money.
money.
It's scary too. Where all you go doing that?
Hmm. Excuse me. That was mostly up here. I did a little bit of it down in the Gulf of Mexico, but most of it was Massachusetts.
We're in the Gulf.
Off the coast of Louisiana, there are well, I was working on these two oil rigs, and when I say oil rigs, they're maybe 60 feet across. They weren't the big giant ones. They were
Yeah.
really, really small ones. They were little platforms. We were just rigging buoys and stuff like that, and just welding iron.
When I was a child, we used to, well, up until my teens, we used to go every summer to Grand Isle. And you see the oil rigs off the coast down there?
Yeah.
Uh, so I used to go fishing. We would go deep sea fishing out by the oil rigs. And I don't know how I did it now because I'm scared to go out on the water like that.
When you
But
said Volkswagen earlier, Rich, it reminded me we did an episode on Lake Lanier, and there's like a bridge that goes across Lake Lanier, and there was a those big 18 wheelers that carry animals like to slaughter like chickens
Yeah,
and stuff.
sure.
So there was a whole 18 wheeler full of chickens that wrecked off that bridge, and
Swimming chickens.
and the divers went down. They were semi trapped. Like I think the door flung open, but they floated up, but the trailer was on its side, so they couldn't get out. And when the divers went down, they said that they couldn't even get to the truck because there were so many of these huge, just like enormous catfish
Oh
that
yeah.
they claimed that they were like as big as cars like that.
uh-huh. They have them that big here.
Yeah, I've never seen one that big, but I have seen a 6-footer, and that's a big fish. That was a
In the
couple 100 pounds.
in the Columbus Lock and Dam in Mississippi, that mobsters used to come and drop bodies off.
And the
And
catfish would eat
the
them?
catfish would eat them. But they said there
Huh.
were catfish the size of Cadillacs in the Columbus Lock and Dam.
Damn.
See, man-made lakes like that freak me out. Which I don't know if obviously that's man-made because of the dam, but they flooded out a whole town in London, Kentucky, and it's rated probably top 5 lakes in the U.S. as far as just how beautiful it is and stuff. But they dove it and found whole graveyards.
Mm.
Yeah.
And actually, on that dive, one of the dudes, and this is weird, one of the dudes that was diving in this graveyard, one of those big obelisks just fell over on him.
Oh, that's no good.
No, he
Did he
didn't
kill
make
him?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrible. That's awful. We have one of those up here too, but I've never been there. One of the flooded towns.
Yes, Laura. Yes,
So,
Laura. Yes.
that was a long time ago. It was in my youth. I was younger than you. Long time
We're
ago.
gonna have to make a meme for Rich now.
A
For
meme?
sure.
Yeah, metal AF.
I keep
Rich.
stepping over to the side. I can still hear and talk. I just I'm multitasking right now with some food.
That's fine. Do what you
It's
gotta
all
do.
good.
We're just
It's all
glad you
good.
joined us.
Yeah.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, you don't ever get to visit with Tully.
What's that?
You don't ever get to visit with Tully, do you?
I see him every week just before we jump into watching Wyrd. I see him for 5-10 minutes anyway.
You need to go on Wearing the Folk. Is it this? When are we gonna do the World's Fair thing?
It's still being
Debatable.
Yeah.
There's
Yep.
a World's Fair thing?
Yeah, so I guess the easiest way. Let me grab this book.
Okay, so their next show they're researching the conspiracies behind the World's Fairs.
Okay.
So
I saw
essentially,
Men in Black.
there's the author if you're interested in it, but essentially, basically the whole 1800s appears to not be like what we thought they were. Like
Okay.
so they have
What does that mean?
They have the World's Fairs all over America in the 1800s, and they claim to throw these cities up in like 2 years' time, and it looks just like this. Like that's a depiction of one of the world's fairs. So it looks like Rome, and all of these intricacies and lakes and statues, and some of them, the main building is nothing but glass, like just something crazy looking. Claim they did it in 2 years, and the author of this book actually went to several different architects and structural engineers who said that with today's technology that it would take 5+ years to even just slap something together for superficial looks.
Hmm.
Mixed with that, apparently, like Chicago, for instance, there was originally like a floodplain when Chicago was first getting started, and they one of the first ones was in Chicago, and they're trying to say that people with horses and buggies built that in 2 years. So very interesting read first and foremost, but there's just so much to unpack, and there's not really any answers, only speculation. Um, but there's a couple big theories that we're going to try to go into. Um, they're doing a different format with wearing the folk, so we're going to be trying that out as soon as Cecil gives the go ahead.
It's actually very interesting.
It
It
is.
is it is very interesting. The more I read this book, the more effed
The
up
more
I get.
the more you don't know.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The more you know, the less you know when it comes to that.
Yeah, tomorrow night, if you feel like it, you should join him and Morgana and Cecil and maybe Logan to talk about the Philadelphia experiment because I can't make it.
Yeah, for sure.
Not that that's why you should go, but I mean, you're more than welcome to go.
Hang on, let me find a pen. I swear I had one right here. And my pen is gone. I was gonna say, what time is it tomorrow? I got a thing, but I don't know what time that's gonna end.
Are you on
What the
the
hell
East
is my
Coast?
pen? Yeah,
He's on the East Coast.
It's 8.
8 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
I might be done by then.
It'll be
Well,
fun. It's always fun when we start talking about conspiracies.
Where
well,
would where would the join link be?
I can get it. Morgana can send it to you.
Okay, let's
Everybody
do
say
that.
hi to Boudreaux because he is crawling in my lap right now, being a
Hey,
bad little
Boudreaux,
boy.
pain in the butt.
He's
Oh man,
now he's now being called Boo Bradley because he's so bad he deserves 2 names.
I can't keep Freya from peeing on the floor. She was so good for so long, and like the last week, she's just been peeing on the floor. And I'll get her and I'll bring her outside, and she's clawing at the door and whining. Bring her outside, bring her back in. She pees on the floor. Like, are you kidding me? Come
Yeah,
on.
he does that.
Oh, speaking of Freya, have you all seen the new Vikings yet?
No, I haven't seen it.
Nope. Is it good?
So far, I'm liking it pretty good.
Yeah,
Cool.
Alan said it was good too.
I think if you get past the first couple episodes, we're like, maybe this was a mistake, and then it starts developing people and the storyline, and I'm on probably 6 or 7 right now, and it's pretty good.
Huh. That's another one I'm gonna absolutely watch.
I always
Well,
get weird about reboots like that because like Dexter's one of my favorite shows ever, and I haven't watched this reboot season because I've heard that it's not very good.
I haven't heard
it,
anything about it, and Dexter was a great show. You're right.
it was
It's,
good. I would say that it's worth watching.
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I'm not going to say it's as good as the original, but it's a good way for it to end. It's better than the way it ended before.
So what I've been doing recently is a few years ago, my wife and I watched all the Marvel movies in sort of chronicle or timeline order, and I just started doing that again. So I don't sleep, so I'm watching it at like between 2 and 3 in the morning, and there's a lot of information that you pick up that you didn't pick up before in those nerd movies. So I've been doing that I'll be starting Iron Man tonight, so I think it's the third or fourth one. It's
Well, that's
funky.
cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Um,
I'm I'm interested in this World Fair stuff. I got to tell you, that sounds
It-
pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it is a whole rabbit hole to go down because so what's weird, so my uncle is retired Marine. He lives within spitting distance of Paris Island, so he can still go to the commissary and stuff. But I sent him this book as a gift just because he's interested in history and definitely not a conspiracy theorist, as you can imagine. Pretty straight laced, but he read it, and his neighbor is a doctorate. He's a professor of history of like I guess local Beaufort, Charleston top history, and they were going to, I guess they go to pick out books at the library together, but um, they noticed a plaque, and one of these common themes with all of this architecture is they burned down like a year or two after the World's Fair. Like Chicago burnt down.
Really?
What was it? San Francisco had that great fire.
What in the
Uh,
Illuminati are you talking about? Holy crap, that sounds great.
so,
Now I'm very interested. What's the name
well,
of this
yeah,
book?
it's exposing the expositions, and the author is Howdy McCoskey.
Exposing the Expositions.
Yep. But yeah, and they're saying that, like, I mean, you saw the architecture. They're saying that burnt down, and it looks literally like it'd be like if you tried to say the Colosseum burnt down.
Yeah, right.
Like,
That is
yeah.
interesting.
But all that to say, so he was going to the library, and he sees a plaque after he got done reading the book, and it said that I don't know whether it's Charleston or Beaufort, but one of the two had actually burnt as well around the same period in the 1800s.
What?
Yep.
You serious?
Huh.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy coincidence. Like
I don't
like I
believe in
said,
coincidence.
There are more than one of those books. Ancient Rome in America, 1851 to 1915. Exposing the
Yep.
Expositions.
So,
Huh.
and they
Rich
say
is
that
going down the bunny hole with you, Tully. This
Yeah.
could be interesting.
I'm gonna have to buy both of these books now.
what is it, the first victim of war is the truth. I think is how this goes. And it only takes a generation, sometimes two max, to completely change history by the victors. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
the 1800s might not have been anything like what we thought that they actually were.
It's a very interesting theory.
Yeah.
I like
And
it.
when you pair that with everything that like Tesla was doing and ancient technologies, you think about things that still exist in the world that can't be explained, like how they were built, things like that.
Have you ever listened to anything or read anything about Tesla messing around with what is it? Infrasound?
Infrasound, no.
Mm-mm.
He was playing around with infrasound, and him and Mark Twain were like really good friends. And Mark Twain always wore that white suit. He he hit that infrasound, and Mark Twain pooped himself.
Now, we did two episodes where we went through patents that have been seized by the government, or the people who applied for the patent were unalived for one reason or another.
Unalived.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
live.
And there was a lot of Tesla related stuff, like people trying to pick up his work and move it forward. Some of which were like electrical related cancer therapies, which were super effective. Apparently, the unalived, really any cure for cancer, unalived.
Makes you wonder what
Right.
cancer really is.
Yeah. Well, somebody claimed to have a cure with sound only, which is crazy.
I believe it.
And a lot of like homeopathic doctors, they attribute a lot of our sickness not just to inflammation, but related to parasites that live in our bodies. Like apparently in other countries, it's pretty normal for people, like grown adults, to take. I don't want to say dewormer, but like some sort of parasitic eliminator every so often, like every couple of years. Like apparently sushi's really bad for it and stuff like that, like raw fish.
Go figure.
Well,
But
clay is supposed to help with that. Just clay. People will. It comes from I think South America, and you can get it
I
up here and
yeah,
mix it in water and drink it. I've never done it, but I've seen that
I've
it
seen a
happens.
video of that exact thing, Rich.
Damn, the things that we are learning.
I know, right?
Yeah,
Who knew?
and we're winging it, everybody. I hope everybody knows that we're winging it tonight.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be in my kitchen if if we weren't doing it.
You need to show Rich your skull.
Well, that's gonna take a razor knife at least. I don't know if I'm up for that right now. I've seen some stuff this week, so.
Yeah, they're not down here anyway.
But he does martial arts. He might be interested in that.
Oh,
Not that
Okay.
that's the same thing, but you know, he has some Tibetan monk skulls that have been painted.
interesting.
They're like Kapalas, like skull caps that have been turned into like prayer honoring type bowls. But
Huh.
neat stuff.
It is. It's interesting. These are actual skull caps.
Yes.
Actual Tibetan. Really? Huh.
hmm
I would like to see that.
Yeah, they're from
See, I knew.
they're from the days when you could still purchase stuff like that on eBay.
Yeah. And now, not so much.
No,
No more.
I actually
no more
think
human remains.
they made it a lot harder to buy secondary stuff like that. Like I think it's still legal for one person to sell it to another person, but it's ridiculously expensive.
I can understand why. I mean, it would depend on what you're buying. Like that kind of thing, that's great. But I can see somebody buying blood, and who knows what the heck is in that blood that you're buying. There's no way for the FDA to screen that,
Yeah.
and so they probably have to lump all that stuff together. That way you're not buying biological waste or hazardous biological parts, stuff like
Yeah.
that. You're not buying some dude's forearm that he lost it on Tuesday and it's Thursday night. You're like, look what I got right here. That's Jeff. That's his forearm. So
Yeah, I
I
think a
get it.
lot of the ones that are circulated today are probably medically donated bones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's that weird place in Tennessee where they train the CSI unit. Have you ever seen that?
The death fields.
Yeah.
Is that yeah? The what the decomposition field? I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, just to study how people decompose at different
Yep.
depths and stuff.
Yeah,
See,
absolutely.
we think all that stuff's neat, but some people think it's weird. So
Yeah, I know. There's actually a huge insect study place down there too, on which insects will eat the body and when and where they lay their eggs and which part of the person they lay their eggs in, and that can tell the CSI people where it happened and when a murder happened. It's pretty fascinating, really, if you're into that kind of macabre stuff.
Yep. Now doing it is a whole different thing. Like
I don't want to
interested-
play with bodies.
Exactly.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gooey, not for me. I could sit here in the basement and talk about it.
Same. Hadley, what have you had going on?
My book has been returned, and I'm doing it the last go through for the Audible.
That's awesome.
So that's what I've been doing or trying to do. My
What's
guy who I adore cannot say rune. He calls it a ruin. So I've got to go through and find out every time he's said it through the book.
Ruin?
Oh no.
Yeah, and a blue roan is a blue rowan. And I was
Uh-oh.
like, because I asked my friend, I go, is that a regional thing? Because maybe I'm saying it wrong. And she said, no, it's a blue roan. So, was it
Uh,
blue
Was
rowan? I was like, he's from
whoopsie.
New Orleans. What the heck? He should know. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'll be doing all weekend. Yay! That and cleaning the yard so the guy can come mow like next week.
Wow.
Because Boo Bradley has taken all of his toys outside
yeah,
and all and every left shoe I have. He doesn't want a thing to do with the right shoe. He just takes the left.
it's nowhere near even beginning to grow here yet.
Really?
Where are
Yeah,
you, Tully?
I'm in Kentucky, but like 20 minutes away from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm on the East Coast, just south of Boston, and
Oh, okay.
it's cold. It's cold here
Oh
right now.
no,
It's 25 degrees. I'm looking right there.
it's gonna be in the 80s in the next couple of days.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have anything like that
No,
right now.
So
no,
We're
not at
3 months
all.
away from that.
It's 33 here now.
I feel like we might be in our second fake spring, and that we're gonna have like the third real winter come
Yeah, it
any
got
day.
cold down there for you, didn't it, for a while?
It, but it has been unseasonably warm this year. It's never really got too cold. Um, so it's been weird. It's been real weird.
I know it got real cold down in Texas, and people were unprepared for it. That
Yeah,
was, I mean, not the really bad one last year, but even recently, it was
Yeah.
it was real cold
Well,
down
we
we
we had a couple of, but then again, like 2 days later, it would be 80. That's why I'm sick and can't get
there.
better. Better. It's just
yeah,
it's
same
constant.
same. It's at the time of year where like yesterday it was almost 70 degrees and now it's 30. So
Mhm. And see, that's
there's
what it does here. Um, that's the kind of weather when we have cold weather, it's like that. So
We get that as well. Just not actually earlier in the week it was like that, but it's been pretty cold for the past few. It snowed this morning. It snowed a little, just spitting. But this past weekend it snowed. We got like 4 inches, and the weekend before it snowed again, and there was like 10 inches.
bragging.
So yeah, all right. Yeah, it's unfun. I crashed my truck because of it. I was pulling
What?
into. Oh
what?
yeah, I was pulling into the driveway, and my daughter's boyfriend had his car parked there, and it was a little bit of an angle because it was all ice on the other side, and so I pulled in. I got a stump on this side of the driveway that we had an enormous 70-foot oak tree taken down, so it's a big stump, and I didn't want to hit the stump, and I didn't want to hit his car, so I lined it up and I pulled up, and what happened was I slid back on the ice, and I had moved over and I didn't know it, and I just pulled forward. The whole passenger side is wrecked. So
Oh,
it's and plus my truck is black and his car is white, so do the math. It's
oh.
awful. Big long dent, bunch of scratches. So yay!
When that happened?
That was Monday night.
Oh, I'm so
Uh,
sorry.
yeah, it
That's such a
stinks.
bad feeling too.
Oh, it sucks. Yeah, it does. And so I called the insurance company, and yeah, but nobody wants to hear this. It was unpleasant. It sucks. Nobody wants to hear about my insurance company woes.
Yeah, I definitely know the feeling of the slow wreck. Like it's almost a
Yeah,
feeling of impending doom.
yeah,
Uh, like I had a Jeep, and which granted I was horsing around with it. There was this huge mountain, and there was a gravel road that spiraled all the way up the mountain. So me as a 23-year-old, I decided that was a good idea to drift all the way up the mountain on the gravel. And
how'd that go?
I I made it to the top, and they had, I guess, graded it recently. So a lot of the gravel was on the side, like right on the edge of the mountain, and my tire caught it, and it all just gave away.
Oh
And when it
no!
gave away, the front end of the Jeep comes up like this, like a roller coaster, to where I'm just staring down this mountain. That's
Oh
only time,
dear!
the only time in my life I've ever been happy to hit a tree, or I would have rolled down the whole mountain. I probably wouldn't
Oh
be here
no!
today.
Yeah, that would have been unpleasant. Well, I'm glad for that tree.
Same. And cool thing about old Jeeps, flipped it back over. Had one of my buddies with a chain, flipped it back over, kicked the windshield out, and drove it home.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
What
There's nothing
year?
to crumple.
What
yeah,
year was it?
this was I think 90.
That's not bad.
I mean, it's old now. You know what I mean? I could get a historic license plate on that now.
I know, right? Don't make me feel old.
Oh, my first car was a 1974 Buick Regal. So
How many bodies could you put in the trunk of that big thing?
I don't know what you're talking about. I would never do such a thing. I had a Plymouth Barracuda for a while. That was a beautiful car.
I
1970
bet.
and a half.
I
Yeah,
bet.
that was great. I sold the 426 Hemi. Sold that, man. Bought it for $50. Sold it for 15 grand. So it's pretty good. I'll take that
Yeah,
any day.
yeah.
Yeah. Man, I missed that car though.
My
Car did
dad.
wheelies.
My dad was a Corvette man. He had when actually like the first or second date he took my mom on was to watch him race. He used to race Corvettes back in the day.
Oh, that's
Well,
cool.
I guess it worked because they had you, right? So damn,
Many moons later, yeah,
Corvettes work.
she's told me the secret was she never would have dated him if he hadn't had that car. I was like, things you should probably keep to yourself, mom. But
Damn.
she liked fast cars. He liked fast women. What can I say? No, I'm kidding. Oh no.
Oh, you're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Damn.
No, seriously, I've got a picture of him with his Corvette that he had, and he had a Playboy bunny thing on the front. And she said, yeah, when he took her home to Louisiana, they thought she was a Playboy bunny. She's
That's funny.
hysterical. She was hysterical.
Yeah.
But, well, guys, I guess that's gonna do it. We're right at like 45 minutes, so I'm not gonna keep you. I know, Tully. I'm sorry I interrupted your dinner.
Oh, you're fine.
Thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for helping.
Yeah. If you're free tomorrow, Rich, jump on, man.
I I guess I don't know where you can put the link such that I could jump in. Does Morgana have
can
my
get,
email?
Yeah, I
She's
can
got
get
my
it to her.
Yeah, get it to her and she could send it in. If my thing is done by then, I will jump on. I don't know. I have no plans tomorrow night, so I'd like to talk to you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Tony. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Lana. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We appreciate y'all so much. And we
Yeah,
come
sorry
just,
we missed it.
yeah, we come just to see your smiling faces that we don't get to
Absolutely.
see. But anyway, so Rich, what are you working on?
Oh, so nothing really. I've been working very long hours, just to make up for when I missed when I was sick. So I was real sick, so I'm working real hard to try and make up that time. And I got my book back. Jeez, it had to be early December from Severed, and I'm supposed to go in and they made edits, and I'm supposed to okay them, but I honestly just haven't, with what's been going on, I haven't been able to get to it.
That's
So
understandable.
I got to page I think 32 of 181, and I haven't touched it in a week. So I got to talk to my guy and tell him, hey, I can't get to it. And see, maybe they'll just publish it as is. I'm not sure. I'd like to go through it, the whole thing, but it's gonna take a month to do that. And then,
It's kind of how I feel about Ruin and Rowan.
yeah, I get it. I do. Their editor is phenomenal. She catches everything, which is great because I really suck. So she catches all that good stuff. But some of it I don't want changed, but most of it I do. So just saying, yeah, do it. That's I would miss a few things that way, but I'm getting there. I'm actually on the fence about just telling them to do that. Just go for it.
Hey, Mark Edie.
Hey, Mark.
Well, my first book is going to be on Audible, hopefully in the next couple of weeks or by April, hopefully by my birthday at least. So that's coming up, and at that point in time, I'm going to send Henry Tully and Rich Restucci both of my books on Audible, so they have to listen to them.
Oh, okay.
then they can, make me feel like I'm incompetent. But
How so? Why
'cause
would you say that?
I'm not as good as y'all are
Oh,
in
please.
any way, shape, or form. But
I'm not even an author. I don't even know what you're talking about.
I want you to read it because I know that you're going to love how weird I am. But
I must confess I haven't read it yet, so I would very much like to.
well, under no pressure. But I will send the Audible so you can listen to it.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
it really is just me sharing my crazy inner thoughts with y'all, so you can see how again weird I am. So, but
Good deal.
Oh, you
anyway,
fit right in.
love you guys, love all of our fans, and we will see you this time next week when hopefully we will be watching Snatch and Rock and Rolla. So, stay weird, guys.
See ya.
Take care, everybody.